Hello and welcome again to Virtually There. My name is Graham.
My name is Joel.
The Association of Leading Visitor Attractions in the UK, or ALVA to you and me, have just announced the latest customer retention survey results.
And what does those news says, Graham?
It says some good things, and also there's some challenges ahead as well.
Okay, so I think the good news are maybe there are going good expectations about the number of visitors coming this summer, right?
Yeah, the good news is that numbers are likely to be up in terms of the sheer numbers coming through the door, which is great to see. Attractions getting more footfall. The bad news, however, is because the cost of living crisis is starting to bite, membership and loyalty schemes, both renewals and potential new subscriptions, are likely to be seriously affected going forward. So what we thought we would do in this video is respond to that particular issue and ask the question, could NFT membership and loyalty schemes be the answer to retain and gain more members in attractions?
Yes, and because the world economics are really complicated for everybody, this will be really helpful. This is the example for Scotland, but could be applied everywhere else. So let's go into it.
Okay, so ALVA released the podcast related to the customer data on Thursday. So what we're going to do now, very, very quickly, is just show you the little bit from the podcast that relates specifically to the data we're talking about with memberships.
However, what we would say up here is that this is balanced by the likely drop-off in renewals among that 40% who are feeling worse off. So you, among the population as a whole, you've got 18% saying I'm going to use my membership or season pass less than usual. And that's really driven by those who are feeling worse off. So you've got 31% saying they'll use their membership less often, and the vast majority of those, so 22%, are saying I will use it much less often. And I think by much less often, these people are really meaning I'm considering not renewing my membership or season pass this year. And that's really backed up by the evidence down here. So we asked people how likely they are or are they more or less likely to renew in the next few months than they would ordinarily be.
It's a lot of things to think about, Graham.
Yeah, absolutely. And now that we've seen the problem, let's dive into some examples of NFTs that have been used in rewards and loyalty. There's some really good examples out there, all doing lots of different little things in relation to this area. So let's take a look and see the kinds of things that are happening. So let's dive down into this Forbes article about 5 innovative ways for NFTs to replace traditional loyalty programs. So if we have a little look at this article, we're just going to go through each of these individual suggested ways that NFTs can benefit companies for loyalty and rewards. So item number 1 is deepening customer loyalty with emotional engagement. So tugging at the heartstrings of your customer in order to build emotional connection and therefore loyalty and renewal of membership. So in this particular case, let's just have a quick look at what Clinique have done. So they've launched an online contest encouraging customers to share stories of joy and optimism. Sounds good. We need a lot more joy and optimism in the world these days. I'm sure everyone will agree to that. 3 contest winners were rewarded with Clinique branded digital collectible NFTs that provided access to fan favorite out of stock products. So here we go then. Here's what's really going on here. If I have the NFT, then I have access to products or potentially services or potentially digital content that others will not, and I get it purely because I have the NFT. Now, well, we've seen this before, and there's things here that should probably look familiar to us, right?
Yeah, I'm looking the utility. They are not just stocking with something that it's only fan art or something like that, that like here you have your price is a little piece of art or an image, and okay, thank you, bye. No, they are bringing some utility to the end user, which is going to make the NFT appealable, desirable, and maybe if somebody puts into a, I don't know, a store or something like that, maybe I'm being compelled to have it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we've already had conversations with clients ourselves about competitions and about bringing the community into the competitions and things that we're running. And so this is very much in line with the kinds of things that we're already doing. Also, again, just to kind of reinforce this, a condition to participate in this competition is joining the Smart Rewards program. So effectively, the membership card is an NFT. And for me, if you're going to have a rewards and loyalty scheme that is going to be saved, for want of a better word, by the use of NFTs, then an NFT membership card, a step that you have to take to start using this technology in the first place, seems like a reasonable place to start. And as you rightly said there about utility, we've talked a lot in the Metaverse playbook and a lot with the presentations with clients that we've had about the importance of utility. Utility is why NFTs have the power that they can have. And many of the original uses of NFTs, as we know, like the GIF image on a token that's really just a piece of art, didn't have that utility, that connection to experiences, that access to products. Yeah, that's unique.
And that's why you hear a lot of people complaining, even making fun of it. Oh, NFTs are worth nothing. So if you keep using that model of just giving an image and there is it, bye-bye, it's not going to live long that project. So that's why when we start talking about the community part, as you just said, about the feeling, the way they understand, it's making the NFTs meaningful. If you don't create a project meaningful to the people that you are trying to be your target audience, it's not going to work anyway. So that's why I think it's the #1 filter for everybody who's seeing this video in order to create their own projects or trying to give now new layers of interactivity, such as our clients are looking with us, is first try to do something that's appealing and bring something that's not like only having the brand or a card that stands with nothing. Do something that compels the end user to have that NFT, to get in love with the brand and start making things in order to showcase he owns it or she owns it, right?
Yeah, and they talk here about displaying the NFT and saying that's pretty much the digital equivalent of wearing a branded t-shirt. Now, for us, given our connection with the Enjin network, our equivalent of a branded t-shirt is an actual fashion wearable for an avatar in a game or a virtual world. But I see where they're going with this. It's that your artwork that you have received for creating this connection with the company is your emotional investment in that company. And so where they're going with this is Clinique customers are going to have that kind of pride of showing that they're Clinique customers through this artwork that they can display.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the second one. And this, again, is something we're no stranger to because we've talked about this a lot, the idea of gamification.
Oh, yeah.
And gamification being basically the central strategy to how we create the ability to acquire NFTs or creating the fun. The fun comes from the gamification, right?
I'm sorry, I'm a totally gamer. I really love to play games since I was having memory. So since I was a child, and that's why one of the main things why we chose Enjin as our official of the preferred NFT provider, the technology behind, right, Graham?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting, the example they've got here for gamification is Burger King. So let's just take a little look at what Burger King are doing and kind of dissect that compared to the kind of gamification we've been looking at ourselves. So Burger King collaborated with 3 musicians to create a new product offering called Keep It Real Meals. Each meal box came with a QR code, and customers who bought these meals could scan the QR code to collect digital, would help if I could speak, digital collectible NFTs, simulating a treasure hunt.
Oh,
now,
wow.
we know all about treasure hunts
right.
because we've been busy creating them all across the world these days. So yeah, they've got this idea that, you know, you scan the QR code, you get the collectibles. Each meal has a different collectible. There's a story, there's a process, and there's this treasure hunt. What's interesting, though, to me, and see what you think, is I don't think the prize or how can I say, the benefit of taking this adventure with Burger King is particularly exciting. And I think they could have done a bit better with this, to be perfectly honest. Let's just have a look and see what you actually win. So basically, you do this treasure hunt. Each musician had 9 unique collectibles. Okay, so 3 times 9, if my maths is correct, is 27. So there's 27 NFTs for people to collect. Based on how many you had collected, so whether you had 27, 16, 5, or 2, customers could win rewards like a 1-year supply of Burger King Whoppers, autographed exclusive merchandise, and even a call with one of the partner musicians. So out of all of that, if I was taking part in this, I suppose the thing that would make me want to keep going is this idea of having a one-on-one call with the musicians, assuming, of course, that I like the bands that are part of this campaign. But nonetheless, I think that's probably the most interesting thing that they are doing. But what they're missing here is utility in the virtual world. Now, we've talked about utility can be physical world or digital world, but what they seem to be missing here is the utility on the digital side. So yes, these collectibles are digital, but everything that they basically can get you is in the real world. So I think there's a part missing there.
Yeah, I think they are bouncing too much to the real world and losing maybe the main audience, the main target, because, well, we haven't said that, but only on the Enjin podcast. I used to be a PE teacher, and most of my students love the treasure hunts. And for sure, somebody who's listening to us, for sure, they played treasure hunts, or they started making the egg hunting while they were in Easter and so on. So all of us were really enjoyed those memories of doing the treasure hunts activities. And we grew up with several video games, with animations, with music. So the idea is really great to start with music, but I think I agree with what you're saying. They miss the potential of going into the digital worlds as well. So they are going to using the NFT just like a bouncing in again to the physical world. It's a good experiment thought, but if they are going to pinpoint to an audience such as teenagers, kids, maybe they are more into the digital world, right, Graham?
Yeah, absolutely. And we know from the conversations we've had with our amazing students in Scotland with our Great Tapestry Scotland project, just how switched on particular age groups are to this kind of digital experience. I'm going to move on to the third one here, because this is a word that we've never thought of. We've never talked about this word, phygital. We call it fizzy digital, which kind of, I think, is a little bit less difficult to say, but also phygital doesn't, I don't know, I get the feeling like phygital.
I got the guess, my friend.
You have an itch yourself or something.
Maybe they are thinking, oh, wow, these guys from NFT Frontiers already are talking about fizzy digital. We can talk about that because they're copyrighted, maybe.
You never know, but they've gone for phygital, and the example is one that we are all too familiar with.
Oh yeah,
the Glenfiddich whiskey. Now, the interesting thing about this is we've looked at whiskey and we've spoken to whiskey distilleries about the idea of having digital authentication with NFTs.
Oh yeah,
as well as, of course, the loyalty and membership, which is, of course, the point of this video. But what's really interesting about the way that this article, anyway, is talking about the Glenfiddich suggestion is they're separating the bottle and the NFT. In other words, you can sell the NFT, which is your connection to the bottle, your almost pride or your satisfaction at having this rare bottle, to someone else. But it wouldn't mean that by extension, you also sell the bottle. What you're selling is the digital happiness, the digital happiness of having a 20-year-old bottle. So I guess
right.
if you can't afford the bottle itself, right, the next best thing is to buy the certificate of the bottle to feel like you've got the bottle. I guess I'm trying to work this one out. I'm trying to see where it's going. And I think if there was a bit more substance to the article, it might be clearer. But to me, reading this, I'm not sure where that's going. To me, the two should be connected. And we've talked, about utility and access to more content and these kinds of things. And to me, it should be almost like if you sell the NFT, you sell the NFT with the bottle, the whole thing goes together. I don't know. It's an interesting one.
In my case, my friend, we can even create a video around this, right? It's how to use the technology in a way you can even solve several problems by using the technology itself. So we have a different approach on that, and I think it's good to worth that we maybe approach that in a different video in order to make the people who are trying to create their own NFT projects or they want to come to us, why we think the approach shall be different. Because as you say, it's like taking one part of the puzzle and then another from another puzzle and make it match. It looks a real complicated thing, because it's like, if I take it into the physical world example, it's like, okay, you bought a 20-year-old bottle. Can I buy your empty bottle so I can put it into my collection? It's odd.
Yeah, it is. And actually, we should say 40-year-old collection of whiskey bottles.
Oh, sorry.
we've been saying 20 years, but it does actually say they're 48. But that's fine. It's the same principle, I think. It's two reasonably good ideas, I think, but
for me,
separated.
For me, Graham, it's like you like a lot a certain perfume, and you can afford it. And somebody, your best friend, has the empty bottle. Can I buy the empty bottle and put it, like, showcase that I had that perfume, but I haven't? So it's really dissonant for me. It's, well, we need to be aware of what the end of that product is. Maybe we are not seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. If my wife wanted me to buy the empty bottle of Coco Mademoiselle instead of the full one, I'd probably be happier, to be honest. but But as a marketing point, it's true. You know, what would be the point? All right, engaging the creator economy is the next one. And basically what this boils down to is getting influencers to get involved in helping you create something for your members. So in this case, it's Adidas and Prada partnered to use NFTs to engage the community by inviting creators to submit their artworks. So they're reaching out to really popular NFT artists and saying, basically, would you help us out here? We would love to be able to sell your art as a digital collectible. And they say here that 15% of the sale goes to the fan creators, 5% to the curating artist, and 80% to a non-profit. So at least if you're selling an artwork, let's say, I don't know, you had a Bored Ape Yacht Club, that just happened to be the one that you were using. And as we know, in the past, Bored Ape yacht clubs could be $180,000, $200,000. I guess if the idea is that 80% of that figure is going to non-profits, which is, I guess, another way of saying charities. I mean, that's what I think of when I think non-profit organizations. I guess then the motive is not simply to just make money based on the influencers. But let's just go a little bit further in this. So the brand engagement campaign is a great example of second order impact of NFTs. Second order impact is not a phrase I've heard before. So let's have a look. With NFT digital art becoming valuable in its own right, brands are co-creating NFT art in collaboration with customers and using proceeds to support causes that their customers believe in. Now, this is something we've come across because we've talked a lot about biodiversity, environment, endangered species, all those kinds of things have come up a number of times when we've been talking to people. The ownership and connection generated by such an emotional engagement are perhaps more powerful than a transactional-based point loyalty system. So instead of giving people points, you're giving people the opportunity to buy into something, which in turn is supporting a charity of something that they are passionate about. So we have this art, we sell it, 80% goes towards protecting endangered species in Mexico, for example. I'm more happy to be part of that element of it, the endangered species benefit, than I am at getting points. I guess the question is could we not have both? Because there's ways of creating points through, and you know, token rates, for example.
Yeah, and for me, I think the way they are trying to frame it, as you said, more into the causes rather than the creators and so on. But that maybe it's going to be something that some creators are not going to like too much because it's their IPs, it's their even they have a little share about that. And the common thing is trying to go into the causes rather than making a money spinner. Some creators are not going into that. The thing happened a lot when they start discussing about Meta having the half of the cut of the gains for each of the transactions. So it's really complicated how to make the good balance between value for the creator, because the main topic is bringing creators in to make diversity of products, right? So if you are not appealing to them in a good sense of way, maybe you are not going to target the main specifics, but some. So yeah, it's something that you need to be really careful of when you're talking about how you are going to share the profits, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I do think bringing creators in can be quite powerful. I mean, a shout out to Formosa, who is a digital fashion designer who works with Decentraland. She has been involved in a number of things with us in terms of giving digital fashion items during webinars, and she's someone we've interacted with quite a lot. And
yeah, she rocks.
as long as, yes, she does, she absolutely does. And the thing is if you're doing it for the right reasons, i.e. really to promote what's possible rather than to make money off the back of the artist, I think that's a really, really powerful thing. Okay, number 5, of course, is something we are right in the middle of, which is the idea of things happening in the metaverse itself. The example here, again, is something we've seen before, because we have assets in Decentraland, and in fact, we have land in Decentraland as a business, and RTFKT studios were based in Decentraland when Nike took them over. The idea here being is that you have digital sneakers, which are unique to the digital world and only available to be purchased and used with your avatar. Of course, those sneakers can also be, going back to that word I really don't like, phygital, in the sense that you could have real world sneakers that are then replicated as digital wearables, so that you can wear with your avatar what you wear in the street. And we had a lovely conversation with that kind of idea with a lovely up-and-coming designer from Glasgow the other day about doing that with clothing.
Yeah,
so
it's a good opportunity for the creators. And one of the things that calls a lot of my mind is how you can engage people to the new things, the new prototypes, without making a lot of other clothes in order to test the market. So I think that's going to change a lot the kinetics behind the fast fashion, especially those brands, and as well the slow fashion. I think we are moving into that kind of things where we are going to measure more what happens to be the main fashion in the digital world, to take that into the physical world. And we saw some examples of, do you remember about some sneakers that if you have one of the 100 or 1000, and there's going to be a tombola random generator, and somebody with the precise number of that token, well, that person is going to receive the real tokens, sorry, the real sneakers as the same it is in the NFT. So I think that's good marketing tools in order to go green, because the fashion industry, it's a great thing, but as well, we are really aware of how polluted it is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, we've seen 4 really key things here about why NFTs can be really good for rewards and loyalty systems. And I would say as well, really importantly, we deal with all 5 of these. There's nothing here that we haven't had conversations about, right? Everything in our case, I would argue, of course I would, because I'm part of New Frontier. But my argument with this is we are looking at things from the perspective of how these things fit together. And a lot of the narratives that we've been talking about, for example, with the tapestry, with attractions in Mexico and Thailand and other countries, is really blending these 5 things together. And that's something that I think is really powerful. And the reason why is, if you look at the key takeaway here, with specialized NFT platforms optimized for brand engagement, marketing leaders can use innovative campaigns to engage their customers and drive brand loyalty. So what it's actually saying here is that NFTs actually are a good fit for optimizing engagement, loyalty, and rewards with customers, no matter what the industry is, but particularly as we're answering the question in tourism. The key takeaway from this is that this technology is actually designed to solve the problem that ASVA have just outlined, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It is the key way in order to get the engagement and talking to a specific new communities that maybe are going to be compelled to visit some place or go for a particular brand that even some brands doesn't have the right go into it, right? Because maybe they are in another place, in another market. But if you start looking and talking to that specific community, you are bringing more of those customers into your brand or to your attraction that you even had another chance to compel them, right? So yeah, I think it's a good enhancer for brands, for activities, for several other products around or services as well. But as you said, I think you nail it, is trying to get the best thing of each of those outputs and try to start thinking out of the box in order to bring it into another services and other companies and us into the tourism. Taking the best examples and learning from what is not succeeding is a good example to proceed with in order to make this right.
Okay, right. So here we are then. We've dissected this article. We've looked at the different ways that theoretically NFTs can help with loyalty and reward. We've now seen some tangible examples. Let's move on and talk about the next part.
So yes, we had a really good article there, Graham. You really rock it. But I have a lot of thoughts how we can create something out of this. So a practical idea that we can give to our dear audience.
Yeah, so what I'm thinking is we take because this video is not sponsored or actually prepared in advance in any way. So we're coming up with a concept here that we've just dreamed up now. So let's imagine hypothetically that a new zoo is opening up in Dundee. So maybe Edinburgh Zoo is full. There's now a new Dundee Zoo, and Dundee Zoo is having this membership and loyalty issue. So how might Dundee Zoo use NFTs to drive rewards and loyalty? Okay, let's start, Joel. What do you think?
Start. Oh, well, sometimes some zoos are struggling, especially after COVID or pandemics and all the things the lockdowns brought. Some of them are struggling because the visits are lacking on that, but some zoos has could be, I heard about some here in Chile that had like membership schemes where you can give it a monthly fee in order to support the zoo. And some of these memberships has like a bronze, silver and gold, and some of them have perks, like the lowest one is having at least one entrance for free into the zoo, and the most high and expensive one allows you to go into the zoo, have like a private time with the particular animal and so on. So maybe an idea around that, if you support a particular animal because you love, for example, the tigers, you love so much the tigers, you can have an NFT about that tiger, and you support that as a monthly fee or buying a whole year experience through an NFT. And that NFT allows you to go with that to a virtual world, such as maybe Minecraft, and have it like a companion in that world. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so let's dissect that and turn that into a loyalty and reward scheme right now. I'm going to use penguins actually for two reasons. One, penguins in Madagascar are absolutely awesome, and it's still one of the most funny things I've ever seen in a cinema. And the second reason is Dundee was a home of Antarctic exploration, and there's actually penguin statues around the city as well. So let's go penguins, but let's take that, okay? So you're going to create a membership scheme for Dundee Zoo. The first thing that you should be thinking, especially if you've read our Metaverse playbook, is that NFTs are not just for when you're there, but they're before, during, and after the visit, right? So the first thing that we've got to dissect is, like you say, with membership schemes, what kind of membership scheme are we going to have? In this particular example, I'm going to say, hypothetically, that the membership card has to be an NFT. That's critical because of the utility, right?
Yeah.
So let's go with a single membership. It's just a free NFT membership that you can sign up for. Now, before anybody thinks, but free, where's the revenue going to come from something free? Just wait, because that's where the utility comes in. Using that NFT and creating in connections with that NFT through fun and games that you have in the zoo is where the income is going to come from. But first of all, we've got a cost of living crisis, right? So we've got to find a way of getting people to the zoo in the first place to get their membership card in the most cost-effective way possible. But even better than that, what if, let's say, they could get the membership card off the website, scan a QR, receive your NFT, just like we've seen in the article, right? So now we've got our NFT. Now, one of the great things about NFTs on Efinity, which for those of you that don't know is the network we use from Enjin, which is, apart from anything else, carbon neutral and good for the environment, is that when you hold an NFT on the network, it's infused with some value, right, in the form of the ENJ. So what we could do is they download the NFT. The second they have the NFT in the wallet, they hit stake, and they're receiving passive income from Enjin, not from the zoo, remember, from Enjin, just for holding their membership card, which, by the way, they got free. So now our starting point is that those that are using the membership didn't have to pay for the membership and are being paid for it, and they haven't even gone to the zoo yet. Now, let's also imagine that we have a good relationship, which we do, with all of the other Enjin network providers. And let's imagine we had something like Go Health Hero, for example, which allows you to incentivize your exercise. So now, when you are walking, hopefully you're walking from your door to the train station or from the car park to the zoo, what Go Health Hero will do is integrate into your health app, like Samsung Health, for example, and it will reward you for the exercise that you do. So now let's just recap. I'm getting rewarded purely for having the token. I'm now getting rewarded for traveling to the zoo. If I'm traveling on public transport, maybe I'm taking a train, ScotRail train to Dundee, then that ticket could have a QR code on the back. And when you scan that, it gives you a specific discount or specific access to an event or private time with the keeper and of the penguins, for example, as long as you have the membership, which of course you can because it's free. It's no barrier to anybody potentially getting that time with the penguins. All it comes down to is getting to the zoo quicker, so your name is down in case there's capacity, right? But there we go. So step out the house, I'm incentivized. Get on the train, I'm incentivized. Arrive at the zoo, I'm incentivized. So now I'm going to pay my ticket. But I'm already earning, and I will continue to earn on the way home in the same way, and just by holding the token in the same way. So eventually, guess what's going to happen? That entrance fee is going to come back to me over time. In other words, it's also free entry, even if there's a price to pay to get in. So far, so good. No barriers, really, right?
Yeah.
Pretty good. Do you want to come in and
I thought the idea of matching several projects around, like you said, with Go Hero, I was thinking as well with Steppen, where you
Steppen's a brilliant example.
You use an NFT in order to have your steps counted as well into currency. So imagine if you have in your wallet, you detect that you have a project like Steppen match, and it says you have a zoo NFT. Well, because you are in the zoo and you are going to walk here, your steps are going to count double for a period of time. That's going to encourage more people that are users of Steppen, for example, or Go Health Hero, go more and visit more in certain parts, maybe where the zoo is more, I don't know, doesn't have the same capacity or the same numbers. Maybe you encourage people like a funnel by merging similar projects or different projects even. So you have new audience that even are not into going to a zoo now have an excuse to visit the zoo because they are going to have more in the project that they are already compelled to. So that's a real good thing that you just created there, Graham.
And now we're through the gates. Now the fun really begins, because we've seen in the article, and we've talked a lot with our clients about adventure trails and the idea of collecting NFTs in a gamified way as you go around the zoo. So perhaps rather than simply you get to have time with the keeper behind the scenes in a small group to find out more about the penguins, spend some more time with them, see them at feeding time, perhaps rather than just getting that because you've been on the train, perhaps in fact you gamify the receiving of that by having an adventure trail and activities that you have to do around the park, right? Now that could be a number of different scenarios. That could simply be there's QR codes, or there's places that you go to around the zoo, or it's in augmented reality like Pokemon Go, and you have to complete specific tasks or find out particular information about the animals, perhaps to do with their diet or where they come from in the wild, where they're geographically from. And by meeting those objectives, by completing the games, you complete the set, which now entitles you to register for the time with the penguins. And then I guess the logical extension from this is, if penguins are your thing, the penguins themselves are like the celebrities of the zoo, because they are the ones you go and see. When I lived in Germany, in Berlin, and if anyone watching is from Berlin, you'll remember that Berlin had a polar bear, or Eisbären as they're called in German, born in Berlin Zoo, called Knut. And Knut was around in sort of 2004, 2005 time. And Knut became literally the rock star of the zoo. Everybody wanted to see Knut. Just like in Madagascar, Alex the lion. It was Knut, the polar bear. Everybody wanted Knut toys, Knut, Knut, Knut. So if you've got the star animal, then what better way to create emotional connection between the customers and the animal than by creating game characters with the animals. So do you want to take it from here and kind of think about, we've had these kinds of conversations, as you know, with various organizations, but how do you think we might be able to go ahead here and create the gaming, the digital side of that experience?
Well, I think there are several paths to discuss. Maybe that's worth an entire video that we can even start thinking how we can do it, right?
Yeah, true. But in the short time.
Well, I think if you are compelling people to visit the zoos, as well as you make it into the toys and things like that, making something around that compelling and matching with the video games is going to be a good thing, because we have the example of Axie Infinity, where some people are using those NFTs that could be animals with different characteristics in order to make their game. So if you have different characteristics, so for example, the penguins could be different eyes, different type of color, and giving different perks into a game, and the games allows you to have gains into that. And as well, you're supporting the museum, because the NFTs gains are going into the zoo. Sorry, the zoo. It's going to be a good match. But that's what comes on the top of my mind. But for sure, we have hours to talk about this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, not to steal Clinique's idea, because as people we work with will know, Clinique's idea has been our idea since before Clinique had the idea. But the idea of bringing the community in the design of the artwork that then becomes the avatar penguin. We've talked about this with the tapestry, for example, of getting community contributions to imagining themes from the tapestry for going forward in the future. It'd be the same with this. You want the local community in Dundee to be able to contribute ideas to what the penguin should look like, or the penguins. Perhaps there's penguins with different personalities and different traits for the game. So we've also got that side of bringing the community back in. And one other really important thing to mention, because like you say, we could talk about this all day, is what research actually tells us is if by doing all of this, we are adding value and reducing overall cost for customers, they are more likely to buy the food, that the catering in the zoo, which, as we know, of course, the catering, the food and the merchandise is one of the biggest money spinners for the museum. I'm doing what you did, the zoo, right? So you're more likely to buy Pedro the penguin than you would have been if you'd had to pay 10, 15 pounds to get in the first place.
Because I'm having something for free already. I'm getting value of this visit, and that's not like perceived like a money-making spinner. Because when people find out you are more into getting money out of it rather than getting experience or getting something to them, real value to them, that people are going to say, yeah, I'm going to buy it, or yeah, I'm going to get it. People are not going to get into your project. So that's a real red flag for everybody that sees in this space. When you think, Rain?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it is. And I think we've done a good job there, to be honest, in about 10 minutes of basically from scratch for an attraction that we just made up in our heads 10 minutes ago, laid out exactly how it could work, how you could get over the problem of people not having disposable income to become members. Potentially, of course, you could create different layers of loyalty. So in this example, we're saying it's universally a free membership. But of course, there could also be a gold membership on top of that, or a super membership that entitles you to more behind the scenes experiences. And maybe you get that membership not only from paying, but also potentially from volunteering, because we're giving back, right? Mm-hmm. So it could be that membership is, let's say, £20 a month, but for those who volunteer behind the scenes, it's £5, for example.
Yeah. Well, we could be talking all day about this. So let's save some words for the next video, right?
Oh, 100%. We've talked long enough, but I hope that you've been able to see here that we've taken a problem that has literally been identified 2 days ago and said an entire solution to that problem using the guide from Forbes as to what they think NFTs can do, and of course using the examples of the things that are only possible because of our membership with the Enjin network.
Yeah, well, it's time to start wrapping up, right? And trying we hope really that you enjoyed this video and have a lot of ideas to think about. And you can always contact us, because we are here to make the NFTs, give it a purpose and utility, and make it useful. And for everything else, teaching you how to look for the right project, create the right project, and make that accessible and as well meaningful for your target audience.
Yeah, absolutely. We're open to discussions with anybody who would like to seriously look at this as a potential answer to the obvious problem that the data shows is there. So as Joel said, it is time to go, because this has been quite a long one, but I hope it's been a useful one, because you've seen us take a problem, dissect best practice, and develop a solution before your eyes. So from me, I'd like to say thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this content, if you're happy to see, finally happy to see good, proper uses of NFTs that are not just about selling them for lots of money, that you're actually starting to see utility and you're actually starting to see value and real use of NFTs, then we're glad that you saw this through with us. So please do like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.
See you in the next one. Sorry. Bye.
Bye. Bye.